Grandma used to read the Smokey Bear book to me, the true story of Smokey Bear, from the time I was a little kid, and it was just always there. And I'd go to her house and climb up in the chair with her, and she'd read the story to me, and I was fascinated by it. It was scary, but it was fascinating. She started teaching me to read from the book. At the time I was in the 2nd grade, I could read the book cover to cover by myself. I work as an information officer on wildland fire management, and I carry these with me and hand them out to kids that I encounter when I'm out on the fire assignments. Originally, during World War II, there were ad campaigns for the war effort. And part of the war effort was wood products that were needed for construction. And wood products came from the National Forest. It was decided that we needed an ad campaign to support the war effort, as well as support preventing wildland fires. And the persona of Smokey Bear came about in 1944. He was originally drawn by a man named Albert Staley. In 1950, there was a fire, a wildland fire, in the Lincoln National Forest in New Mexico. It was called the Capitan Gap Fire. There was a fire crew there from Fort Bliss, Texas. They were an Army fire crew that was working on the fire. They found a cub bear that had been burned, and he was clinging to a burnt stub of a tree. They got him down and took him back into the ranger station to where a New Mexico Fish and Wildlife man named Ray Bell took possession of him. They bandaged him up. They made a little harness for him and literally leash trained him, and then flew him back to Washington, D.C., to where he then began to live in the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., and he was the living symbol for wildland fire and was Smokey Bear until he passed away in 1976. In 1975, I was lucky enough to get to go to Washington, D.C. and go to the National Zoo and see Smokey. And that was really one of the highlights of my life, to be able to see Smokey Bear in person. He was pretty old, and it was just a year before he passed away. When I saw him, he was an adult bear, and I would guess he probably weighed 300 pounds or so. He grew into a very big bear. When they first found him, he only weighed 5 pounds. He was smaller than a house cat. We were on a vacation in New Mexico, and we went to the town of Capitan, New Mexico. It's actually the village of Capitan. It's not considered a town, where the Smokey Bear National Historic Park is located. Smokey's grave is there on the grounds of the park. It's very tastefully done. They have a replica of the stub that he was found on. The burned out tree, or stub, stub is a jargon. It was a burned out aspen tree that was probably somewhere around 12 feet tall, where it had burned and broken off, and Smokey was found clinging to it. They have a sculpture of that on his grave. And they also there have his epitaph on a piece of granite that was taken from up at the site where he was found. A nice museum that they're associated directly with the gravesite, and then there's another museum in Capitan as well. That was right there. That was something dear to my heart as well. In fact, I had tears in my eyes the whole time we were there. This book takes me back to being 2 or 3 or 4 years old, sitting on my grandma's lap and getting to go and see where Smokey was born, getting to see Smokey before he passed away, getting to see his grave where he rests now. It's just, oh, there it is. I'm tearing up again. Full circle. So yeah, it's just really cool. So